Welcome to today's Discover Crosspoint devotion. We're excited that you've joined us today, and today I want to talk about deals. Do you like to get a deal? I know I do. If there's a time in my life when I need a new pair of shoes or maybe I need a new t-shirt, I will wait until I see those shoes or that t-shirt at 50% off before I make the purchase because I want to get a deal. I even had an experience not all that long ago where I went to a car lot. I wasn't really looking for a car. I was actually trying to have my car that I owned fixed. And I ran into an elderly couple who were about to trade in their old car to get a new car. In fact, the salesperson was standing there giving them the price that the dealership was going to give them for the trade-in. When I heard the conversation and looked at their car, I knew immediately it was a car I was interested in. So I made a deal with the guy who was turning his car in. I said, I'll give you a few extra $100 if you'll let me buy the car, and you'll still be able to buy your new car, but you'll go away with more money to start the process. The salesman was flabbergasted. He was completely stunned that I jumped into the deal right in the middle, but the guy who owned the car sold me the car for a few extra $100 than he was going to get on the trade-in, and so I felt like we all went home with the right deal. I got the car that was about 10 years old and had 40,000 miles for a good price. He got extra money for the trade-in, and the car dealership still got to sell the car. So everybody went home happy, and we all got a deal. Well, when it comes to deals, there might be one area where we need to be careful, and that is when we're doing the Lord's work, maybe we don't need to seek the best deal. And that brings me to the passage that we're going to look at today. In this passage, David had it in his heart that he wanted to build God a temple. But God had told David, you're not the person to build the temple because you have shed too much blood in times of war. But it's going to be your son Solomon. He's going to build my temple. Well, once David died and Solomon took the throne, King Hiram, who lived in a place called Lebanon, contacted Solomon. King Hiram and King David had been good friends, and so King Hiram wanted to do something for Solomon to let him know, just in the same way I was a friend with your father David, I'm going to be your friend as well. And so Hiram asked King Solomon, what can I do to help you? Well, Solomon was already in the process of trying to get ready to build the temple that God had set up when David was the king. And one of the things that Solomon needed was some really good wood. And it just so happened that King Hiram in the land of Lebanon had the best wood in all of the Middle East. And so King Hiram made the offer to Solomon, I will bring down the wood and you can use it to build God's temple. And the next part is what's so fascinating. Let me read it for you. It's in 1 Kings chapter 5, verse 6. Therefore command that the cedars from Lebanon be cut down for me. My servants will be with your servants, and I will pay your servants wages, and then listen to this, according to whatever you say. For you know that not a man among us knows how to cut timber like the Sidonians. Solomon said to King Hiram, you tell me what the wages are that are fair and equitable, and I'll pay them. What Solomon did not say is, hey, King Hiram, why don't you give us a deal? We're doing the Lord's work. We're about to build him a temple. Couldn't you cut the price on the timber so you could help the Lord out and help us out? That was not what Solomon said. Yes, we should probably seek deals in our personal lives so that we can be the best stewards of the resources that God has given us. But when it comes to doing the Lord's work, when His name and reputation are at stake, I think it's more important for us not to look for a deal and instead to be fair and equitable. And I find that that's what Solomon did with King Hiram. He said to King Hiram, we need your lumber. We need your cedar logs from Lebanon. But we also want to pay a fair and equitable price. You tell us what you think is fair and equitable, and we'll send the money so you can send the logs. And that's exactly what happened. If you keep reading in chapter 5, verses 10 and 11, you will find that Hiram provided cedar logs for the temple for as long as Solomon needed them. And in return, Solomon sent food and resources to King Hiram to help his people survive through the times that were tough for them. But all of this was done because it was in the name of the Lord, and for the Lord's name and glory, and for His tabernacle to become the temple. And as a result, Solomon made sure that it was fair and equitable. What's the point as we finish up? In your personal life, you probably should seek the best deals as much as you can. All the resources financially that are in your hands have come from God, and He expects you to manage it well and to be a good steward. The church should be a good steward as well. But at the same time, when we represent God's kingdom as the church, we should always do things in a fair and equitable way so that His name is never maligned in the society that we live in. And so we want to keep this in mind because the Lord we serve, He doesn't cut corners either. When we think about the Lord and it came to our salvation, Jesus could have taken a shortcut. He could have looked for the deal. Satan offered Him one. If you'll just bow down and worship me, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the earth. And Jesus said, no thanks. This is my Father's work, and if it costs me my very life, I'll give everything that I have so that I can accomplish what He's asked me to do. Let's remember that as we're doing the Lord's work. Let's be fair and equitable so that the name of the Lord will be magnified, and His name will be glorified, and Jesus will be known in our community. I hope that'll encourage you to give some food for thought about deals and no deals. Have a great day.